On the Russell's finally moved up out of the weekly trading zone. Okay, good morning everyone. Today is Wednesday the 10th day of July 2013. The markets just started moving. The markets just opened up and just started moving around. There's a long trade right here on the Russell at 1016.6. It's already gone 4 ticks in favor of the trade. There's very little divergence. There's very little room to run. Okay, I'm not going to try to jump into that trade at the moment. I'm going to wait and see what it does. In the pre-market, yeah, I know the beans are actually functioning now. In the pre-market, the crude oil was setting up a head and shoulder pattern, and we're waiting for it to break the neckline. What it did is it established the other shoulder over here, but the left shoulder is this long drawn-out process. The neckline is this solid blue line right here. There's a lot of room down below this if we break down below it. We were looking for the shorting opportunities going into it. There were a couple of opportunities here. One was over here. We got a break even on. One was over here we didn't get into. And now it's going to be tough to get into it because I think once we break the neckline, there's a ton of air between here and the next level down. And we just broke the neckline. Okay. Let's jump back over here. I wanted to show you on the Russell. You see how there's no divergence here anymore? There's no divergence at all anymore right here on the Russell. Okay. And on the gold has been very choppy. In the pre-market, there's been very little follow-through. All right. Right at the open, there was some nice opportunities on the gold and on the crude oil right at the open. But after that, there was nothing. It was just very choppy in all the markets. Okay. Let's look at the soybeans. The soybeans are stuck. The soybeans in the overnight session were consolidating a lot too. Okay, in the overnight session they were really doing a lot of consolidation. Copper had a nice short trade right over here in the pre-market. Then it pulled right back up through the BBC, and now it's got a bunch of wicks up here. We need to see close up above this level. Okay, that's what we need to see. The Russell, the Russell is hidden behind this chat thing. Yeah, okay, the Russell now, it's pulling back and it's given some divergence. Thanks, Matt. It's pulling back and it's given some divergence here. This was the up close before, but we had no divergence. There was no way to actually take that trade. Well, there was. I mean, you could have taken that trade. The ES is in a weekly trading zone. Thanks, guys. The ES is in a zone, so we're not going to take a long trade here on the Russell until the ES makes a decision about the zone, gets through it or doesn't get through it. It had been approaching it for the last hour. It was approaching the weekly trading zone. So, no trade on the index. No long trades on the indexes right now. Okay. And crude oil has pulled back up above the neckline to the BBC, but we don't have any divergence that we can trade right there. All right. There's no divergence that we can use. Oops. Excuse me. Yeah, that is a swing high there, Paul. It is a swing high on the Russell, but the ES is going into a zone, so we're not going to look to take a long trade on the Russell. Okay. Hang on a second. Yeah, okay, we got a whole bunch of people in here now. Alright, I want to show you guys really quickly how to apply the weekly trading zones, okay? I'm just looking around. I want to do this while there's no trade going on, because I won't be able to place a trade with my DOM in this thing. Alright, gold is coming around. When you put on the CFWTZ, when you get the weekly trading zones, you're going to get two things. You're going to get a list of numbers. You just copy and paste that list of numbers right in here, and you're going to get a count number. Put that count number right in there. Alright, that's all you have to do. A down close on the current bar on gold would be a short trade right here. Alright, down close on this bar on gold would be a short trade. 1251.1 is the high, 1250.7 would be the low. Okay. A down close over there. Now, we didn't get the down close. Now I got to draw a trend line. Okay, here's the trend line. We need to close down below that trend line, or a test of the BBC with a down close and a red cycle. That's what we're looking for there on the gold. Okay. You see how the Russell stalled out as the ES hit the weekly trading zone? The Russell just stopped right in its tracks as the ES hit the weekly trading zone. And let's see. And the Russell, we're in one of these odd predicaments here with the indexes where the Russell is above a weekly trading zone and the ES is below the weekly trading zone. That typically works out to be very choppy. There's not really anything we can do about it right now. We need to see the market start to run one way or the other, start having a good trend. The down close on the current bar on gold is a short trade. We've tested the BBC. We have a red cycle. If the cycle stays red on the down close, I believe the down close will be right there. Yep. Okay. The cycle did stay red, so that is a short trade right there on gold. That was a very fast-moving short trade right there on gold. Very fast-moving short trade right there on gold. Your stop should already be at break-even. Okay. Yeah, the Russell and the ES, they're kind of not doing anything useful. The soybeans right now, the soybeans are moving up. They gave a close higher than the prior swing. It's in a position to set up some divergence. Okay, it's in a position to set up some divergence there. But it hasn't done it yet. It needs to pull back down to the BBC. Man. I'm just looking at the gold. You had to be on your game right there to grab that one. All right, it was right there on that down close. I missed it. The crude oil. I was talking about that hideous shoulder on the left side. The right side's just as ugly right now. It's just trending a little bit. Okay, but there's a lot of room down below that down below that neckline if we break it. Okay, so we just got to wait for the trade setups. Just got to wait for the trade setups on that side. Okay. Yes, Russell, nothing. Copper, nothing. Natural gas, nothing. Euro, nothing. We had one of these moments earlier for about, I don't know, 10 minutes or so. Where there were no trades. No. Who was that sniff?
Who do you think it was? Good morning.
That was Dwayne. Good morning, Dwayne. Hang on, I'm giving Bert some eyes. And, all right. So, in the pre-market, there was very little follow-through. Very little follow-through. Right now, we have the ES below a zone, the Russell above a zone. The soybeans, John? The soybeans are in X. That's November beans. Yeah, we're just overcast today. Well, here I'll throw it in the spreadsheet, Andrew. Gold. Since 10 July. 6. All right. And that's it. Um, I'm not looking to trade any indexes right here, guys, until they decide what direction they're going in. Right now, with the Russell above a zone and the ES below a zone, we don't really want to get involved in those indexes. Okay, I'm watching the soybeans. We need to have a pullback on the soybeans to show some divergence. We don't have any divergence yet on the beans. Okay, the gold put in a lower swing and it's testing the BBC right now. So the gold should give us an opportunity. However, we have that going on. Down close on the current bar. If the cycle stays red, down close on the current bar would be a short trade. 51.2 is the high. 50.8 would be the low. If the cycle stays red. Okay. If the cycle doesn't stay red, then there's no trade. And the cycle didn't stay red, and there's no trade anyway. There's the trend line. Okay. Explain the colors on the 50% line of the slingshot. Sure. Don. What the colors down here on the bias line mean? If all three are going down, it's going to be red. If all three are going up, it's going to be green. If they're mixed, it's going to be white. So it's just a representation of what's actually there. It's just a colorful representation of what's actually there. Okay. On the soybeans? You mean this one back here? What's the high on that? 83.75. Yeah, I mean there's some concern there, but by the time, if we get the long trade in here, it would be probably down here in this area, 81.50, something like that. Okay. When I look to move my stop to break even, I mentioned that the bar closes above the MA1 for a long trade. Move to break even. Does this hold true even if you're only in profit by a single tick? So it'll be stopped out if price falls by just a tick. Yep, it holds true all the time. Okay. It's a fair question. Yeah, even if there's only one tick profit in the trade, sometimes it'll close above the MA1 and there won't be any profit in the trade. And then as soon as there's profit in the trade, I'll move my stop to break even. Okay. There are scenarios like that. That's happened in the past. This is a close down below that previous swing. Okay. 87 on the beans if we ever get a pullback. Yeah, we got to get that pullback. We got to get that divergence. We don't have it yet. All right, over here on, what is this, crude oil. We're testing the BBC and we need a down close. Now we've broken the neckline. We're closing down below the neckline. There's a lot of air down here, between here and the next level down. The crude has a high of 105.30. It'll have a low of 105.26 if the high stays in place. It's got a high now of 105.31. It'll have a low of 105.27 if the high stays in place. Okay, the high didn't stay in place, and now we have blue on the cycle, so we've got to draw a trend line. All right, that's our trend line. You need a down close below that trend line before this black step line gets up above the BBC. Okay, so down close on this bar would probably be okay at 105.26, probably, but I'm not so sure about that. I don't know, that's borderline right there. The black line is right at the BBC. Let me blow this up so you can see it a little better. It's below it right here on the close of this bar. On the down close of this bar, it's below it. But it's right at it. Now it's above it. It's borderline right there, if you want to take that trade. Okay, would have been right there. Oops. Let's minimize that. All right. I'm going to wait for a better trade there on the crude. Okay, I'm going to wait for a better opportunity. And on the Russell, we're still above the weekly trading zone, and on the ES, we're still below the weekly trading zone. How to change the bar colors from blue, red to black, yellow, white. Well, the black and orange mat is just the CF Flow PB. I have mine set to a sensitivity of 4. Okay. And the whites, for the whites, you go to View, All Active Indicators, click on the actual symbol, go to Properties, and change bullish and bearish to white. Okay. But the Flow PB with a sensitivity of 4 is what's painting the bars. I'm watching them. We have some divergence on the beans now, but we don't have a setup there yet. Okay. The Russell's moving up. The ES hopefully is going to get on the other side of the weekly trading zone. The copper's not doing anything. The beans are starting to pull back. The crude just put in a lower swing. It could possibly have a short trade setting up here soon. Short trade shortly. Hang on a second. I'm going to take that crosshair global thing off. Here's the trend line on the crude. But we need an up close on this bar so we have some divergence. Okay. Over here on the soybeans, this is now going to be our trend line right there. Alright, we have some divergence there. On the gold, right now we have a long trade on the gold at 1251.8. 1251.8. Let me show you that. Okay, here it is right here. We had the bullish cross. Price pulled away from the BBC. Price pulled back to the BBC, tested the BBC, and gave an up close with bullish divergence and a blue cycle. Okay, bullish divergence and a blue cycle. There you have it. We didn't get the up close on this bar, so we didn't get the divergence. Okay, so I'm going to take that off so it doesn't confuse me later. And the soybeans, we're still waiting on the soybeans. Right, we're still waiting on the soybeans. These soybeans are just taking forever. Yeah, we got the come on baby indicator. We need to take out the come on baby indicator. Come on baby. Back over here on the crude oil. We're now getting this. Alright, we have some nice divergence now on the soybeans. I wouldn't mind seeing a deeper pullback right here. One good thing about this, Paul, remember earlier you had mentioned 83.75. We now have a close up above that at 84.25. Okay. Paul E. So that's worked itself out. That little dilemma. Over here on the crude, we've pulled back up and tested the BBC. We need to down close below the BBC for a short trade. Okay, down close below the BBC for a short trade on the crude. The soybeans, the current bar has got a low of 83. It's going to have, is that right? 83. It's going to have a high of 84, which is below the trend line. Okay, so if this bar closes up 84, if it closes up at 85, that would be a long trade. I'm going to put a buy stop on up at 85.25. Okay, buy stop up at 85.25 on the soybeans. Okay. Let's see. On the crude oil and the gold is still struggling with that trade it had a few minutes ago. And the crude oil needs to close down below this trend line. All right. Now the gold is at the MA1. I'm sorry, let me show you the gold so you can see it. The gold is at the MA1. It needs to break up above the MA1, get that green line up into the cycle. If we break up above the MA1, you should see the gold moving up above this level right here at 52.3. Okay. Over here, Right now, the black step line just crossed up above the BBC on the crude oil, and the cycle is headed up. So we're not going to take any short trades over there. My soybean spot just moved, okay, because we got a new low on this bar. The low is at 83.50, so I am going to move my buy stop down to 84.75 because this bar has a low of 83.50, so it'll have a high of 84.50. So that would be a close up above the trend line, all right, with bullish divergence. So if we get that close above the trend line on the current bar on soybeans, it's got its full range in it. It's either going to close up or down. If it closes up, it's going to trigger me into the trade. Okay. That's my plan, and I'm sticking to it. 87 is the high of the day, so you think it's going to get up there at 87. All right, I'll go with that. All right, I did just trigger into the soybeans. I'm long soybeans at 84.75. There it is, 84.75, soybean long trade. Okay. Let's see. Right there. All right, it gave 3 ticks profit on the trade, not 4, so I couldn't move my stop to break even yet. And now it's moving against me. I have 8 ticks risk on this trade. 82.75 is where my stop is. Okay. Did we have a close up? No, we didn't. Darn it. And it just stopped me out. But the sad thing about this isn't the stop out. I mean, that's bad enough. But, man, let me write it down. Beans 1 minus 8. The sad thing about it isn't the stop out. It's that we didn't close up above the prior swing, so now we're going to have to wait until the trend is actually developed before we can take the trade there. Let's I don't have it on there, Kwong. I don't have it on. So on the copper, I know that's one of Frank's rules on the copper, but I don't have it on. So I don't it doesn't play into my decision. I didn't get into the gold trade, Dan. And how do you know when to get out? Is that what the question was? How do I know when to get out of the trade? Because the cycle just turned red. I didn't get into the gold trade, but if I did, I probably would have gotten in, at 51.9, 51.8 or 9. It would have stopped me out either way if I would have gotten into that. With the cycle turning red, that doesn't really play into it so much. The thing that does play into it is obviously being stopped out of it. But when everything is going against the trade, the black line's crossing down, the MA1's crossing down, I don't do anything different. I put the risk on and I just accept the risk. But when everything is going against the trade, there's a good chance that that the trade is going to change directions. Okay. Excuse me. Right here, you can see the green line is up into the cycle. We need to put in a higher swing above this level right here on gold. Otherwise, this is topping action right here on the gold. Okay. It's topping action on the gold. The crude oil We didn't end up getting into this trade over here. All right, we didn't end up taking that trade over there. We don't have any divergence right now to take a trade. So that's what we're looking for. We're looking for a pullback up there with some divergence so we can get into a short trade on the gold. Okay, was that helpful, Dan? Hopefully that was helpful to you. I don't know. Now, we're not going to trade the Russell, but I just wanted to point out on the Russell. There's your trend line. Here's your bullish divergence. Okay, we're not trading the Russell because the ES is going up into the weekly trading zone. Show crude. Crude, here's crude. Excuse me, there's no divergence on it right now. Now there's a little bit of divergence. Okay, this is what the trend line would have been looking like that. All right, but on the down close right here below the trend line, there was no divergence. So now that we have divergence, this trade is just, it's timed badly. Okay, so I'm going to wait until it actually, everything comes together the right way on the crude. Okay, yep, I'm waiting for a lower swing and then a pullback, or for the whole thing to move up. Okay, if the whole thing moves up, then we'll do that. All right, the Russell, I told you I wasn't going to trade the Russell, but it did give the up close above the trend line, and it moved up off of that. The green line is getting up into the cycle, which means we should start pulling back again soon. Let's see, over here on the ES, we're still inside the weekly trading zone, so that's not going to help us at all. It is 9:57, and so far we're down one bean trade. That is where we stand this morning, down one soybean trade. Let's see. The soybeans, you know, I was sad that we didn't get a close up above the prior swing on the soybeans, because what that means is we can't take a trade right here where it's setting up. You know, we would have had a long trade on the up close of this bar right here on the soybeans. If we would have had a move up above, you know, a close up above this level right here, we would have had a long trade right there. Back to the gold. This is the level that I had drawn in. I said it needed to close up above that level, and it just did. Okay, so the gold is still trending up. That's a continuation we needed over there. On the crude oil, the crude is really a mess right now. On the gold, Paul, how many ticks above the previous high? It's got to close above the previous high. Just one tick close above the previous high, but it's got to close above it. It can't just be a wick. Okay. Why skip this? I just missed the trade. Okay, there was no reason to skip it. It was actually setting up nicely. It was giving everything the way that we expected it to. Let's see. At 9:47, there was a BBC entry that I pointed out, but took a pass on. Oh, that's what. Okay, I just answered that. And on gold right now, it's got a momentum trade right here. All right, now it's pulling back. Now you have some divergence. Okay. Now there's some divergence. Now you have a trend line. It's 9:59. We have a news event, a low-impact news event coming out right now. You need an up close on the current bar. 52.8 is the low. Never mind. We got to move the trend line over. Need an up close above the trend line. Okay, an up close above the trend line. Now, I want to bring the crude oil back over so you guys can look at this. Now, the way that this came together, where we got the down close below the trend line, but we didn't have any divergence, it threw the whole thing off. The timing was all off on this. So we didn't take the trade. We were going to wait until we got some kind of follow through one way or the other. So far we got nothing. Okay, on the crude oil. And over here on gold, we still need an up close above the current bar. Having two black bars right in a row like that's not encouraging though. My gold chart just died. What are soybeans doing? Nothing. Come back here. My gold chart's still dead. My gold DOM is bouncing around, but my chart's not. I'm going to bring up a new one. TT Peru metal gold chart. And it's going to come up in a 2-minute chart. Alright, this is the gold on a 2-minute. Let's drop it back to a 4-tick range. Okay. On the gold, there was the up close while I was trying to get my chart working. Gold had a move right here. Alright, gold made a move. It's now, we need an up close on this bar to continue the trend. The green line has gotten up into the cycle, so we need an up close on this bar to continue the trend. Alright. If we don't get an up close, there we go. Alright, we got the up close. Now we need a pullback so we can get into the gold. The soybeans are topping out right here. It looks like. Okay. I'm going to have to wait and see how they come together. The ES and the Russell, nothing happening on those. Copper's just dead too. There's just not a lot of follow through here on anything. It was like that all morning. I took 6 trades this morning with, in that first hour with 5 break even, I think. Or 4 break even. 2 small wins. No, not yet. The Russell's not active at all right now. The Russell's been flat. Now, the problem with the Russell and the ES, Andrew, was earlier, even right now, the ES is inside a weekly trading zone, but it was below a zone while the Russell was above a zone. It's been that way all morning. All right, it's got to work that out so they're both on the same side of the zone. Okay. There was just a long trade back here that I missed right there. There's no higher swing on it. Yeah, that's why I'm not trading any of the indexes right now. I would know what until after I got filled. Okay, thanks, Bernard. Crude, yeah, crude's got a long trade setting up right here. It's not really trending either, but it does have a long trade setting up right here. 105.20 would be the up close long trade on the crude. It will frame. Steve, do we have divergence forming on the ES right now? It's starting to diverge. Yes, this would be bullish divergence here on the ES. The higher swing thing. Well, if you just look left, you would know. But it didn't give an up close anyway on the crude. It gave a down close with a black bar. So that's not looking really pretty there right now. It looks like it's going to just drop right through the BBC. Let's see. Yeah, it is dropping through the BBC. Okay. soybeans I didn't right here on this up close because the trade we were in didn't put in a higher swing. Okay. Yeah, it has been tough this morning. It's tough to do anything right now. That's why I mentioned earlier, about an hour ago, that I may consider taking smaller chunks off today because there's just no follow through. But we'll see. We'll see. Something's going to break. Crude inventories are coming out in 24 minutes. Crude inventories are coming out. That's going to bounce crude all over the place. Probably. I didn't look to see what the API were like yesterday. Bert, do you know what the API numbers were yesterday? Bert, API numbers yesterday.
Leslie normally emails them out. I don't recall if they came in or not.
Oh, okay. Hey, you're not Bert. That's all good though. You know what? The API numbers are on the toolbar, the Forex Pros thing. They would be in the members area, I believe. Doing the recording that I made this morning, I'm going to put it into YouTube right now.
All right.
And I need to go through it a little bit, probably during the break, so I can give you a better idea of when to start and stop it. I didn't end up starting and stopping it the right way. And
minus 9.4, Mike.
What's that, Bert?
Minus 9.4 yesterday.
Minus 9.4, thanks.
Sorry about that.
That's all good. Minus 9.4, and
So I think that's 2 weeks in a row pushing 10, right?
yeah, that is. That's yeah, and they're
Hey, Dwayne.
Hey, Bert. Good morning. How are you?
Good.
they're only listing minus 2.9 right now. Is what they're expecting on the crude. So if it's way off like it was last week, then we'll see another bounce in the crude. Probably. All right. Well, the crude is doing nothing right here. I'd rather see it do nothing than give us something that doesn't work. The Russell is, again, nothing that we're going to trade right here. The ES is stuck inside the zone. The Russell's right up above the zone. Gold isn't giving us anything. It's got bearish divergence and it's trading above the VBC. Copper's got nothing. Soybeans, nothing. This is like the third time this morning I've sat here and not had a trade setting up on any market. Oh, there's one. The Euro's got a trade setting up. Found one. Here on the Euro. It's got bullish divergence. Bernard, was it you who asked me a couple days ago how to know when the cycle is going to change colors? I think it was, wasn't it? You see how this is sloped down just a little bit right here on the Euro. When this bar changes, when this bar closes, that's going to be red. Okay, it's sloped down. So when that bar closes, you're going to see red. Okay, just that's how you know. If you see that it's just tipped a little bit right there, you can look at that and see that it's turned down, sloping down just a little bit. When the bar closes, it's going to change that. I'll come back to it in a minute. All right. Nothing on copper, nothing on soybeans, nothing on the ES, nothing on the Russell, nothing on gold, and nothing on crude oil. Wow. I gotta bring up another market so we have some trades. The crude that we trade is electronic, Andrew. If there are twice as many in the bid as there are in the ask. No, actually, if there's twice as many in the bid, I would expect it to move down. Hey, Frank. Morning. You see right there, Bernard? It turned red. So because of that, you need an up close above the trend line instead of taking a trade right here. It's more relevant on markets that have a lot of volume, like the ES. I don't watch it all that much anymore. I used to watch it a lot, but I haven't traded the ES in a while because it doesn't have that many trades. Excuse me. Okay, but it is significant on the ES. If you see, the bid column is twice the ask column, you can expect price to go down at some point. If the ask column is twice the bid column, you can expect price to go up at some point. I think that's in workshop number 1 or number 2. We went over that stuff. Still working your way back. I remember it, in our first couple of workshops, when Dwayne and I did the first couple of workshops, we didn't have a ton of people in there. And I think we actually did have a script because nobody was there to ask any questions. So we had stuff that we wanted to cover, that we thought was relevant. Now in the workshops we have so many people in there, there's plenty. Looking... yeah, that's what I need. You're looking for the move up over here, alright? An up close on the euro. An up close above the trend line would be a long trade on the euro. Okay, there it is. And this has got a lot of things going for it. If you guys remember, there's no transition bar from black to orange. There's divergence. It's got a lot of things going for it down here. Okay. Now, I'm going to put this here for right now because it's just kind of in the way. The ES is below the weekly trading zone now, and the Russell is above the weekly trading zone now. So that's been the problem that we've been in all morning. All right, John. Excuse me. The Russell is setting up a trade here, John. You do see the setup coming in correctly, but there's a weekly trading zone right here at 1016. Okay, I don't trade into weekly trading zones, and the indexes have just been stuck all morning. Okay, there's no follow through. There's the notes meeting and Bernanke speaking. I mean the notes, whatever it is, that's happening today, and Bernanke speaking this afternoon. I think all that is weighing on the market here. That's me, not your audio, by the way. That's me. Yep, here we go on the euro. Okay. Paul T. Andy, for that matter. Did you see what I mean? In workshop number 117, you guys will see about the transition bar and the stuff down here as well. Okay? Alright. John T. The zones and everything like that, you should have had all that stuff before today, before I sent them to you again today. I think I actually sent them to you on Monday too, but I think you're in the distribution list, so you should have gotten them Monday morning prior to the open. So everybody that's in here, really, if you should whitelist our email address Anything from CFRN.net? Oh, okay. All right. You should whitelist anything from CFRN.net so nothing goes into spam. Okay. No, Tim. You don't learn how to calculate them. You just learn how to apply them. That's all. All right. Well, from the up close over here at 28.40, it ran up to 28.46 for a 6-tick gain on the euro. It did put in a higher swing, so you can look to take more trades in that direction. All the markets don't have the weekly trading zones because they're not as significant in some of the other markets. Right?
I calculated them for a while,
Yeah.
Tim, but they were very sporadic. I did gold, I did crude, I did soybeans, and some weeks they would be spot on, and other weeks they would be practically meaningless. And so I stopped publishing them because what a trader needs is a trader needs something that is consistent to be a tool that is of value. And publishing zones that were not consistently accurate diminished from the ones that were. And so I just, I could go and calculate them right now and send them out to you, and they might blow you away this week, but then next week you'd go, well, what happened? And the answer is I don't know what happened. I don't know. I wasn't able to capture the rhythm of those markets the way that I have the S&P and the Dow.
The rhythm. He's got the rhythm in him. I just showed over here on the Russell. Now, this was, without the weekly trading zone below us, this was a perfect trade setup. Okay? If we didn't have the zone down below us, this would have been a perfect trade setup. The markets are really starting to jump around right now, guys, so I'm going to slide crude back over. It's 10:18. Why are they jumping around now? I'm not going to slide the Russell back over. We need
charts. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just going to say we need a down close below this trend line over here on the gold, and on the crude oil right now it's starting to pull back with some bearish divergence. Okay, go ahead, Dwayne.
I was trying to understand what John had typed in. Maybe you.
Oh yeah,
what
John had typed in that he looks at a larger time frame for the direction, and then he uses the smaller time frame to actually place the trade. That's what you went over that yesterday in the afternoon session. Was that yesterday? The day before yesterday? I think you would.
I didn't know that was what he meant.
I think that's what you meant. It's not what you meant. You make the charts hourly, set up what you want, and then change. This is what he wrote. I make the charts hourly, set up what I want, and then change the 4-tick range. I think that's what he meant. Is that what you meant, John? All right. So on the crude oil, we need a down close below this trend line. On the Russell, it went right down to the weekly trading zone. All right. The entry would have been up here at 16.9. It dropped 10 ticks to 15.9. There was a little bit of divergence here, so it was an okay trade to take. You had the bearish cross to pull away, tested the BBC with a down close. The problem is the weekly trading zone. Okay. I didn't want to take it because the zone was right there. Now, over here on whatever market this is, we've got to move our trend line. What market is this? Crude oil. Sorry, I was focused down there on the bottom trying to move the trend line. I couldn't see what the symbol was. Yeah, we're pretty close to crude inventories. You probably should stop trading the crude right now. Okay, the crude inventories come out in just a few minutes here, 10 minutes. Yeah, the weekly trading zones, I still have to do something with those. On the 4-tick range, for some reason, they sometimes go away and they don't come back. You have to switch time frames to get them to come back. On the euro right now, the green line is still trying to work its way up into the cycle here. gold just made a run. We were looking for a down close below the trend line, and it just changed directions completely. This is our trend line, and up close on the current bar would be a long trade on the gold. All right, we got to move the trend line now. There we go. We still need an up close above that trend line now. An up close on the current bar would be a long trade. It's got a low of 55.3. It'll have a high of 55.7. If the low stays in place, it'll have a high of 55.7. Okay, the low didn't stay in place. Now we've got a new swing high, so we've got to start the whole trend line thing over again. All right, and up close on the current bar, it's got a low of 55.2. It'll have a high of 55.6 if the low stays in place. Okay, and the low didn't stay in place, so now it's going to have a high. It is going to have a high of 55.6. Okay. Excuse me. All right, I'm long gold at 55.6. 55.6. Okay. Right there, we're looking for the green line to work its way up into the cycle. I'll close on the other side of the MA1, and I'll move my stop to break even. We're almost there. Almost there. Gold looks explosive. All right, stop is at plus. Whoa. Stop is at plus 5. Stop is at plus 6, and I'm out with plus 6 on that. All right. Let's mark that. I tried to move my stop up faster to take in 10, but I didn't get it all. All right, it's setting up again right here, right now. There is, Ken, I'll explain to you what that's for in here, but if you become a partner, there's a whole bunch of things in the members area where we discuss all that stuff. Okay, there's a whole bunch of things in there. Does the Russell weekly trading zone affect the NQ? Yeah, it does, Matt. All the indexes sort of work together when it comes to the weekly trading zones. If they're stuck at, if one of them is stuck at a zone, they're all going to be stuck for the most part. Okay, our problem right now is this. The Russell is right up above the weekly trading zone, and the ES is right below the weekly trading zone. So until they're both on the same side of the zone, then there's going to be no way to really take any trades on the indexes right now. Okay. The copper is moving up right here. Just put in a higher swing. The green line is getting up into the cycle, so we should get a pullback and another opportunity over there. Okay. The way that I use the black line in here, Ken, is if the black line in the MA1 need to be on the same side of the BBC to take a trade. If you get into a scenario where you're waiting for a pullback, or you're waiting for an up close or something like that, like say over here on the gold right now, if the black line gets down below the BBC, we're no longer going to look for a long trade on the gold. Okay? Even if the black line gets below the BBC and you get it up close, we're still not looking for a long trade on the gold. You see how it's right on top of the BBC right there? We have bullish divergence. The MA1 is above the BBC, but the black line isn't. So I'm not going to look to take a trade here on the gold. All right. Yeah, the copper looks like it's going to pull back down to the BBC right here. Frank's already short. We're looking for the copper to get down here to the green line. Okay. And now, if the Russell drops down below the weekly trading zone, the ES and the Russell will be on the same side of the zone. Okay, so then we'll be able to start taking trades. On the short side, anyway. Ken, did you follow what I just said? Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure it made sense. That's one way to use it, but there's a bunch of ways to use it. I mean, you could trade with just the black line on there. There's stuff in the members area that goes over all that stuff. Okay.
Middle of trade.
I'm about to be. What's up?
Okay, now go for it. No.
Oh, okay. Well, you know what? Go ahead. I don't like the way this is setting up.
Okay. Can you bring up a dome?
Yeah.
Just any dome.
Anyone? Just any random one? Okay.
Yeah.
Here.
Can you just Paul had a good question. Look at the bid offers on the dome.
Yep.
You want to offer any opinion on when you see it maybe lopsided like that?
Yeah, when it's lopsided, when it's really lopsided, more on the ES than anything else. Let me see. You know what? Let me close one of them, and I'll bring up an ES one. Hang on. I think. Hang on. There. Okay. There's a big giant ES one. Now more on the ES than other things, but it does work with other ones as well. But this is something that most people can't get their head around. They've been taught the complete opposite pretty much all their lives. When the bid, we'll say, is twice what the ask is, or when the ask is twice what the bid is. Let's just say if the bid is twice what the ask is. Okay. You'll see some big numbers in here. You know, some will be over 3,000, some will be over 4,000, something like that. Typically, people will think, oh, well, price is never going to get through that. That's like a wall. That's what people are normally taught. Okay? They're normally taught that that's a wall and price is never going to get through that. It's actually the complete opposite. The complete opposite. If the bid is twice what the ask is, price is more likely to go down through that level, that big number. You know, like right here, the big number is 29.85. The bid's not twice what the ask is, but price is likely to go down here. Take out this 29.85 level. Think of it in an auction. The highest bidder is what's going to get the price, right? There's more people right here willing to pay this price. There's more orders right here willing to take that, willing to give that. So price is going to work its way, if that is the case. You know, if the bid is twice what the ask is, we'll say, price is usually going to work its way down. And if you have a large number, then price will usually go through that number. Okay, it's the total opposite of what most people are normally taught. Okay, you see prices worked its way down to that number that I was pointing out. It was the largest number of all the bids and asks. It was the largest number, and prices worked its way down to it. The bid and the ask are pretty close to even right here, so it's not really applicable in this scenario. But that is one thing for sure that happens a lot. Okay. All right. I'm going to close my ES down and open my other down back up. You would think, but it's just the way that it works. Oops. Okay, hope I didn't mess anything up doing that. All right, gold right here. We have a bearish cross. We pulled back up to test the BBC. We have bearish divergence with a red cycle. All right. This has got everything that the trade needs right now. We don't need a trend line because the cycle is red and because we tested the BBC. All we need is a down close before the black line gets up above the BBC or before the cycle turns blue. I think it is. Yeah, the crude inventories just came out, guys. Okay, the crude inventories just came out, and I don't know what they are, but with the API being off so far yesterday, the crude inventories should be way off too, I would think. All right.
Are you trading this S&P trade?
I'm not right at the moment. I am not. The Russell is inside the zone, so I was going to let the ES go for right now. I want to see the Russell and the ES both on the same side of the weekly trading zone. They've been back and forth all morning. You know, one on one side, one on the other side, one inside, one above, one inside, one below, and neither one has managed to make a trend. So I'm not in the ES right now. What is this? Copper. Copper just made a nice move up over here, guys. Right there was the up close on the copper. Okay, it's starting to pull back again over over here. Starting to pull back again over there. Natural gas didn't make a move with the crude. I was surprised that it didn't make a move with the crude. Now the crude prices, I expect, if the inventories are way off, the pile's a lot smaller, then by the end of the day the crude inventories should reflect that. I mean, the crude prices should reflect that. Right now on the crude, bullish divergence, you need an up close. Well, you needed an up close. There were some trades here on the way up, and possibly some on the way down. I'm going to let the crude settle down here for a couple of minutes. All right, it's only been a minute and a half from the news. Paul, that gold play already has a failed trend line. Over here. Yeah, again, that was one that I missed, but right there. It had the win right there, and then it came back and tried to give it again. You mean over here. Well, that was the initial trend line right there. Then we didn't get a close above it, so you had to take the wick into account. So you move it over here like that, and then you get another wick, so you have to move the wick over there like that. Okay? That's the way that it plays out, just like that. At 10:31, oh, this one right here. I was talking about a possible BBC play, but it didn't come together. This right here. Oh, I didn't even realize that. That right there was the down close, right? So, sorry. That's it right there. Good eyes. Thanks. That's it right there. That would have been a losing trade had you entered that trade. I was eyeballing the pullback up to the BBC or the trend line across these bottoms right here. Not like that. Oh. Alright. Now, let's see, what are soybeans doing? Nothing. See, I had drawn in that area over here a little while ago on the beans, and they did top out right there. Now the beans are starting to move down. If it pulls back up, you see how we just put a lower swing in right there? We closed down below that prior swing low. If the soybeans pull back up, then we could have a shorting opportunity there on the beans. All right, I'm going to slide the gold off for right now because we don't have anything happening there. The Russell is chopping around inside the weekly trading zone. The ES is going sideways with it right now so far. Okay. And Frank made some headway over here. Let's see, I need to do something here right at the moment. All right, the ES is moving down now. Is the Russell moving down with it? Yeah, the Russell's starting to drop down below the weekly trading zone now. The crude oil is getting back down to that neckline. All right, that neckline I had drawn in way back there, it's starting to get back down there. And I didn't even look to see what the crude inventories are. Does anybody know off the top of their heads what the crude inventories are? Oops.
Same as API.
No, but I can check. Oh, you got it?
Okay. Yeah, Bert's got the same as API.
9.8.
Minus 9.8. That's huge. That's 2 weeks in a row that it was way off like that. They're expecting minus 2.9. It came out with a minus 9.989. That's huge. Okay. Sorry. Down close right here is a short trade on gold. 1255.7 on the gold is a short trade. All right, let me slide it. Oops, slide it over here for you so you can see it. Had the bearish cross, pull back up. We actually didn't test the BBC, so actually we need a down close on the current bar. I got to draw the trend line. I thought we had tested the BBC there, but we didn't. We almost tested the BBC. We have bearish divergence. Everything's looking good for the short trade here, but we need the down close below the trend line. Okay. And now we need to draw this out like that. Okay. Let's see. That was eyeball on that one. The Russell is back inside the weekly trading zone, but you know what? The ES is down below the zone. The Russell is halfway through the zone. The cycle is moving up, so there's nothing that we can do there with the Russell right at the moment. But it's possible that we could do something with, hang on, now we got that down close below the trend line on the gold. 55.7 is the same spot. It's possible that the ES could give us a short setup here, and we might be able to do that with the Russell. Okay, 55.7 was the down close below that trend line right over here. I got short at 55.8. Okay, there it is. 55.8, 8 ticks risk. 8 ticks risk. And stopped. Darn it. All right. And I just lost on gold. What time is it? 10:37. All right. Well, we've got some activity now anyway, so we should have no problem getting all this back. I missed a BBC right in front of that. It didn't hit the BBC. Paul. Gold just shot up right here for some reason. I don't know why, but it did. On gold, on the 4-tick range, right here, it didn't hit the BBC on this one. Okay, I was looking at that. I was looking at it very close. See, it didn't hit the BBC. Okay, there's no pull away right here at 10:36. No, mine didn't. There's no pull away right here. Okay. Either way, if you would have stopped out on that one or the next one, it was a single stop out. Let's see, crude oil. I didn't really miss anything over there on the crude. Okay, the crude is starting to settle down now, it looks like. So we can start to look for some more things over there. Here we're testing the BBC, and we need a down close below this trend line before the black line gets up above. Before the black line gets up above the BBC. All right, the black line is right at the BBC now. I don't think it's going to happen. I'm going to slide. It might. It might. Yeah, right there. 58.9. It doesn't have a lot of room to run, and the black line's right on top of the BBC. So, I'm going to let this one go. The black line is right on top of the BBC right here. Okay. ES. What about the ES? The Russell is back up above the weekly trading zone. Yeah, that's it, Matt. The Russell moved back up above. So I don't like the ES short right here. Okay. Yeah, 1036, mine didn't hit it. It came within a tick of it, Paul. I pointed that out. I said, oh, there's a short trade right here on the down close because we have red on the cycle. But then when I looked at it closer, it hadn't hit it yet. But either way, on the soybeans, if we get a down close below that trend line, there'll be a short. Okay. Gold is bottoming. The green line got into the cycle and we didn't put in a lower swing. We need to get below that level right there. The copper. Okay, the copper's got a possible long trade setting up over here, but the cycle is headed straight down. So we'll have to see how it all comes together. These are going down in tandem. No, it's just not pretty. On the soybeans, unfortunately, we have blue on the cycle, so it's got to close all the way down below this trend line. Alright, so I don't think we're going to get anything there on the beans either. Alright, on the crude oil, 105, well, actually you need an up close. Sorry. I'm going to draw the trend line. Yeah, you needed an up close and it didn't come together. Alright, the black line's getting down below the BBC. You needed the up close above that trend line and it didn't happen. Now you got the up close above the trend line, but the black line's below the BBC. So there's nothing over there. And nothing on the soybeans. I'm going to slide the gold right on top of the soybeans so we can trade that. Okay. We have a little work to do here. It's what, 10:43. We have 45 minutes. On crude, there's a long trade rate, 105.68. It's already gone 4 ticks in favor, so I'm going to let it go, but there was a long trade right there on the up close above the trend line with the bullish divergence. Okay, right here. This is the up close above the trend line with the bullish divergence. Yeah, probably. Alright. I am sliding the crude back off right now. Okay. And there's nothing here, nothing here, nothing here, nothing here, nothing there. Alright, I'm going to slide gold off too. The soybeans have moved up through the BBC. We want to see it put in a higher swing and start moving up. Hopefully it'll reset the cycle and give us an opportunity to jump in to some kind of a trade there. On the upside, we're looking at 87. Is that what you thought, Pete? Yeah, 87 back here. 87.07. 87.07. 87. 87. That's what we were looking at there. And Nothing on the ES. Man, these markets today are just a mess. And it's not even a holiday. All right. A whole bunch of wicks over on the gold, so there's nothing we're going to do there. On the crude oil, actually the crude, let me just scroll back a little. The crude's got nothing.
A lot of times days that end in Y can be tricky.
Yeah. Well, this one is. This one is. We're going to have to mark that down. You know, in the pre-market there was no follow-through. And it was kind of a precursor to what what we should have expected here. And I did say that. I said, no, I may look for smaller gains today because there's no follow-through in the pre-market. But yeah, it's acting just like an FOMC day. When the notes are released, it often will act just like an FOMC day, Brian. That is true. You see what I mean about the indexes? They just have nothing today. Nothing. Gold is moving up. Okay, we didn't have any opportunity in here on the gold, but now we may. Alright, so there's our trend line on the gold. There's our bullish divergence on the gold. We need an up close above this trend line. There's red on the cycle, so you absolutely need the up close above the trend line. Okay. And let's see. We are currently -8 on soybeans and -2 on gold. But we've only had 3 trades. That's so unusual. Jeanette, 1284.50. What market are you on? Can I comment on the euro? Sure, it's a thing that represents the... It's over here. It starts with 6E. Okay, on the soybeans is what you're looking at. Alright. Hang on a minute here now. I'm not going to do anything with the copper. I'm waiting on the crude oil. On the euro, I mean on the soybeans, there's nothing here yet. There's nothing. We don't have any divergence. We don't have anything. We don't have any continuation. Okay. On the euro over here, a few minutes ago, there was a long opportunity. Alright. It was right here. Was your trend line. This was your bullish divergence. This was the initial one. You got your highest swing. You can take follow-up ones. There was a follow-up right there. Alright, that's what we're looking at on the euro. Okay. Over here on the crude oil, we finally got the up close. The trend line needed to be extended. No, it didn't, because we hit the BBC. This is the up close above the trend line, but there's no divergence. So there's nothing to do there on the crude. Alright. Copper's still got nothing, and the cycle's headed straight down. Okay. Ow. And NQ short. Hold on a sec, friend. Let me go take a look. Gold is setting up a short trade. Let me take a look at the NQ for you. Okay. Oops. I don't know where my NQ is. And let me find my NQ chart. There it is. No, you got nothing here on the NQ. There's nothing on the NQ right here. Okay. Let's see. Gold's got a short trade right here at 57.3. What you should see is the green line work its way down into the cycle right here. The green line should work its way down into the cycle. Okay. And there's nothing here on the NQ at the moment. Soybeans, I'd like to see a close up here on the soybeans. It's starting to pull together a trade setup possibly over here on the beans. Okay. It's starting to pull together here on the beans. But it's not there yet. Excuse me. The Russell's above the weekly trading zone again, and the ES is below the weekly trading zone. The crude oil, man. We don't have trending markets today. That's making it tough. Alright, the crude had a higher swing attested to the BBC with an up close over here with bullish divergence and a blue cycle. So you could have gotten long there on that. I didn't. Gold had the down close below. Well, if we blow this up, was the white bar below? No, the white bar was at. So it was right here. I had pointed that out, but I didn't do anything about it. Right there at 57.3. Okay. You may have stopped out on that. Right there at 58.1. You may still be in it. What you're looking for over here is for the green line to work its way down into the cycle. The copper is about to have the black step line cross below the BBC, so you're not going to have anything over there. The euro is still moving up from that last trade that was set up there. The ES is giving us nothing. The soybeans may be setting up a long trade here. We'd like to see a close up here so we continue the trend. If we end up just getting a wick up here, then we can just drag this box over. Okay, we need to see a close up above that box. The crude oil is starting to move down right now. Okay, there's the close above that box on the soybeans. Now we need it to pull back. Okay. We need it to start pulling back. Alright. Down close here would be a momentum trade. Okay, we didn't get it, so now we're going to move the wick, start the thing over again. Not move the wick, move the trend line. Take the wick into account. There's our trend line. Okay, we got the up close over here on the soybeans. Now we need to see it pull back and give us an opportunity to get long. Okay, we need a down close over here on the crude oil below the trend line. Down close below the trend line on the crude oil. The copper, the black line, just moved down below the BBC, so there's no trade over there. I don't know, Frank. I'd like to see a pullback here on the beans so we could actually do something with them, but we're not there. Alright, a down close over here on the crude would be a short trade. This would be the spot right here at 565. It's got a high of 69, it's going to have a low of 65, so it's just a matter of whether it's going to close up or down. Okay. If it closes up, we're going to move the trend line. Like that. Oops. Like this. Okay. Alright. Good luck, Andrew. It's going to be tough today. Excuse me. Alright, this is the trend line. We need a down close below this trend line. This bar's got a high of 68. If the high stays in place, it'll have a low of 64. That would be below the trend line. Okay, if the high stays in place. And So far the high is staying. Still watching the soybeans. It's interesting with the beans. I want to see them pull back and give us an opportunity for a long trade because they've made a commitment to the upside. Okay. Nothing on the Russell right here. And I am waiting for the crude oil to close down. Need a down close below the trend line. I have a feeling that it's going to be explosive if it does. We'll see. Okay. Maybe it's not going to close down. Nope. Closed up. We actually got to move the trend line now. Okay, we have to move the trend line. Oops. To take that little bit of a wick into account. Oh man. Sometimes it's just easier to draw a new one. There. Alright. We are in a box on the crude. Alright, on the soybeans, guys, we don't have any divergence yet. I want to see a deeper pullback here so we get some divergence, but it looks like it's starting to slow down on this up move. Okay. It's starting to slow down. And still waiting over here. Now we have blue on the cycle over here on the crude, still inside that box. Okay, the soybeans, it's messed up now on the soybeans because we got a higher swing right there on the wick, so we've got to start our trend line over again. Okay, and let me just look at something over here. S.com links this, that video is uploaded. Okay. There's the trend line as things stand right now on the soybeans. We have the divergence over here on the crude. Right there is going to be the low, 62. Okay. Alright, that down close right there, but there's no divergence left anymore, guys. There's no divergence left on the crude. There's no place for it to run to. So we need it to pull back now. Copper short setting up. Yeah, it's starting to set up. There's not really a pull away here, but it's starting to set up. Okay. Everything's all covered up here. I had the crude trade. I was waiting on the crude trade and waiting on the crude trade, and we ran out of divergence. So it's got to pull back now. It did put in a lower swing. It's got to pull back. Okay. Nothing on the ES. The soybeans, we're waiting for this. Crude's got a continuation trade here. It's total momentum if you wanted to take it. Nope, it's not there. Okay, it didn't happen. Now we need a down close below the trend line on the crude. Alright. Soybeans starting to set up here. We have our bullish divergence. We have a bar that's going to establish a trend line. Okay. On the ES, Raymond. Now, on the ES, there would have been a short trade back here. If you were ignoring the fact that the Russell is in a zone, then there would have been a short trade back here on the ES. But I'm not trading any of the indexes right now because they're going back and forth with the zones. Okay. All right. Soybeans, the current bar on the beans has a low of 1288 and a quarter. That means it'll have a high of 1289 and a quarter, right at the high of the day. It's got bullish divergence. If the bar is going to close up, I want to be in that trade. Okay. The crude oil pulled back. I got to extend the trend line over there. The Russell is starting to drop down out of its weekly trading zone. So there may be an opportunity to short the indexes here in just a few minutes. I extended the trend line on the crude, and the black line's about to cross up above the BBC, disqualifying the whole thing. On the soybeans, the low of this bar is 88 and a quarter. If the low stays in place, the high of the bar is going to be at 89 and a quarter. That's the high of the day right there. If we pop through that, if we get the up close and we pop through that, then that's something I want to be in. Okay. Yeah, the crude oil is finally giving it up. All right, but we're running out of divergence. By the time we get the down close on the current bar, we won't have any divergence on the crude. All right, now the Russell has dropped below the weekly trading zone. And the soybeans. The soybeans. We've got to start over again with the beans. All right. We may have an index we can trade right here. All right, the Russell's starting to pull back toward the BBC. We got a lower swing, close down below. We're going to have a trend line. Oops. That's the wrong trend line. We're going to have a trend line like that. And some bearish divergence. So we may have an index that we can trade here in a few minutes. Wow, guys, it's 11:03. 11:03. Same thing's happening on the NQ. Yep, the same thing's happening on the NQ. You're right, Matt. Over here on the copper, we didn't really get a pull away from the BBC. We did get a down close right there. It's on top of broken resistance right now. Broken resistance. That's what it is. Yeah, it's a real sleeper over there. Snooze fest. The euro, that spot in the euro, Robert, that you asked about earlier, that went up pretty nicely there. Okay, the Russell is nearing the BBC on this pullback. Okay, but it just needs a down close below the trend line at the moment. Just a down close below the trend line would work. This bar has a high of 10.15. It'll have a low of 14.6. That won't be below the trend line. That'll be at the trend line. Okay. Over here on the soybeans, let's take another stab at it, guys. This is ugly. But again, it's 88 and a quarter is the low. 89 and a quarter is going to be the high. So the place to get long would be on the up close of the current bar. That would be going into not only breaking this little level right here, that would be a new high on the day. Okay. Crude oil on an up close on the current bar has a long trade. Russell, a down close on the current bar, has a short trade. Okay, so the crude's got a long at 574. And the Russell, if it gives a down close, will have a short trade, 14.2. 14.2 would be the down close on the Russell, given the current spot of the bar. Okay. The soybeans dropped down a little bit here, so now the high of the bar is going to be 89, which is one tick below the high of the day. It's one tick below the high of the day. Okay. This would be 89 and a quarter. The NQ has... is that down close below the trend line? It is. Okay, so the NQ's got a short trade right here. All right, crude's got a long trade right here. And the soybeans may have a long trade right here. The euro's got, it may have a long trade right in here. Okay, the copper's got nothing. And the soybeans, they just don't want to go up. All right, at this point I want to see a deeper pullback. Okay, there's our trend line on the soybeans. Okay, so you need an up close above that trend line on the soybeans. There's the down close on the Russell. You can short the Russell right here at 14.3. 14.3 on the Russell. Okay. No, Steve, I don't.
The ES
I don't.
finally went those 2 points. Remember way back when I said you taking this ES short?
Yep, way back here. 44.75.
Yeah, it finally it finally moved the 2 points. So
That thing did take forever. It sure did. It sure did. All right. On the on the soybeans right now, we got a low of 88.5. We'd be looking for a high of 89.5. All right, that 89.5 would be above the high of the day. That actually comes together better for me. I like it better that way.
now let me throw something in here on the S&P. Looks like it's about to. We just made a nice drop down. It may continue, but up from the 4-tick range. Do you have a 4-tick range chart?
I do.
Okay. The swing high, the most recent swing high that we can see on my chart's 48.25. What do you see on your chart?
Yep, 48.25 right there.
All right, and what's the most recent swing low we just put in?
Well, just now, 2 bars ago, we had 42.5.
Okay, so how many points is that? 6?
6.
5?
Yeah, 6 roughly.
Okay. We know the average swing in the S&P 500 is roughly 3 to 5 points. And so while this thing may still continue to fall, and we do have a weekly trading zone right below us, which is a spot that the market would tend to want to gravitate to, this may be a spot where the market decides to look for a deeper retracement on its way down. Just something to think about. The average, and you need to look at all the different markets that you're going to trade in and get some idea of what the average swing is in that market. Because once the S&P has already moved 5 points, because of the nature of the S&P, the way it channels back and forth, it would be surprising to see it just to keep falling without any type of meaningful retracement. Now it's had a couple of little retracements along the way. It dropped down to like 43, it had a pullback to 45.25, and it dropped down to 42, pull back to 44.5, and it looks like it wants to continue to drop here. So if it does continue to drop, keep in mind that this is one of those instances where it's doing something outside of the ordinary. Okay? Now, does that happen very often? Yeah, probably, however you define often. But watch it here and see if it doesn't find some kind of support and then make some kind of little move to the upside, like right here, before it continues down. No, just something I want you guys to think about. When you're putting on a trade, think about the context. If we roll back, and I don't even know what the previous swing looks like, but if we go back to the previous swing high, I mean the previous swing low on my chart was 1642, and it ran up to 1648. Is that what you show on your chart?
Yeah, roughly. Yep.
So it went from 1642 up to 1648. Okay, that's a little more than the average swing. 6 points instead of 3 to 5. We have had some abnormal or additional volatility of late. So that's all that is, guys. Not anything to change your rules with, just something to think about when it comes to putting trades in context. Does the trade you're putting on allow it to stay within its quote-unquote normal parameters? Or is your trade asking it to do something? In order for your trade to work, does it now have to do something extraordinary, out of the ordinary, in order for your trade to come to fruition? All right, back to you, Boston.
All right.
I want to get
There were a couple of questions. One was, how much would 4 ticks be on the soybeans? The soybeans is 12.50 a tick. Copper is 12.50 a tick. The euro 12.50 a tick. The yen 12.50 a tick. The ES 12.50 a tick. Okay, all those markets are 12.50 a tick. The ones that are $10 a tick, the Russell is $10 a tick. The crude oil is $10 a tick. The natural gas is $10 a tick. What else do we have going in here? Gold is $10 a tick. Thanks, Frank. Gold is $10 a tick. And the yen, not the yen, the Dow and the NQ, those are $5 a tick. Okay, those are all $5 a tick. Yep, 6J is 12.5. That's the yen. Is 12.5. Okay, Robert. Crude oil has a long trade on this up close right here. It's got a long trade at 579. 579. And it's got a higher swing from the last level that it was at. It's got bullish divergence with a blue cycle. So you didn't need a trend line on this one. Okay? You didn't need to put the trend line on because it had bullish divergence. Bullish divergence here with the blue cycle. Alright. So it's got 4 ticks profit in the trade. Stop should be a break even on the trade. Okay. Should lock in some profit on the trade. There's not much follow through on any of these things here, so locking in profit's not a bad idea. A little bit of profit anyway. You're looking for the green line to work its way up into the cycle. Okay, that's what you're looking for on this. It's the green line to work its way up into the cycle here. Like that. It needs to keep punching up there. Copper just had a short trade over here at 832. Okay. Lock in some more profit there on that crude oil. Okay. I have 4 ticks profit locked in on it right now. And let's see. Alright, and I'm flat with 4 ticks profit on the crude. That was my first crude trade today. This has just been a really odd day. Let's see. I didn't get in on the up close right here. I got in 1 tick above it. Okay. And let's see, the copper had a short trade right back here. I don't know if anybody got into that. It was right back here. That was your divergence. Alright. Now we did put in a higher swing there on the crude, so it's got another long trade setting up. The soybeans never came together on the upside here. They never came together there on the upside. Alright, let's see over here right now on crude. There's our trend line. Here's our bullish divergence. The cycle is going to turn red on the close of this bar, so you're not going to be looking to jump in on, unless it stays blue, but I don't think it's going to. No, see, now you need an up close above the trend line. 105.82 is the low. 105.82 is the low you would look for. Oh, now 105.81 is low. Now 105.80 is the low. Now you still need an up close above the trend line. Okay, so nothing's happening there on the crude. The Russell trade, I forgot about that trade. The Russell, a few minutes ago, was headed down over here. This down close on the Russell, and that was the spot. Alright, I forgot I had that trade on. looking for the green line to work its way down into the cycle. Again, there's not much follow through here, so locking in some profit's not a bad idea. Okay. You're looking for the green line to work its way down into the cycle. When the green line gets down into the cycle like that, then that's when it starts to pull back. So just something to consider. Okay. Just something to consider about. Let's see. All right. Locking in more profit there on the Russell. Okay. And I'm going to slide the Russell off right now. Crude oil is moving down now. Okay, crude is moving down. So we may have an opportunity here on the short side. We're getting some bearish divergence right now. So we may have an opportunity there on the short side. With the Russell, it just dropped down some more. We're locking in more profit on that. A little bit more profit on it. Okay. And the green line is into the cycle right now. So yeah, I'm tempted to I'm tempted to take it right off right here. Tempted to. I think I am. I'm going to take it off right here. All right. We're going to get flat on the Russell at plus 6 ticks. Okay. Wow, today is just a really odd day. I only have 2, 3, 4, 5 trades today. That's way below my average. Okay, but if the setups aren't there, the setups aren't there. All right, I'm flat the Russell now with 6 ticks. It was from over here. I forgot I had the trade on, otherwise I would have had my stop at break even after this down close right here. I ended up getting out over here. Okay, the Russell's due for another pullback right now. At HG short setting up. Yeah, the copper is setting up another short right now. Okay, the copper is setting up another short over there. And we'll see how it all comes together. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention right here. This down close right here on the crude is a short trade as well. 564. My bad, I wasn't paying attention. And all right, on the crude, stop should be a break even. I'm actually going to lock in a couple ticks profit. I'm going to lock in a lot of profit. Hold on. I'll show you my entry here. There's my entry, 105.64. Alright, and I just got some more profit on that. And I'm not sure where I even exited that thing. Okay. On the crude, that was one more trade. We went from 64 to 59 for 5 ticks profit. All right. Over here on the copper, we need to down close below that trend line. Oops, I forgot to mark that crude trade. Hold on. There to there. All right. We're pulling back again on the crude. That's what to look for. Wow, these soybeans. I'm just giving up on the soybeans. I'm going to cover them up with another market. All right, good, Eric. I'm glad you got your target for the day. What market is this? This is the Russell right here, guys. This is the trend line. That's the trend line. So there is bearish divergence. There's red on the cycle, and it closed down below the BBC. I mean, down below the trend line right there. So you could be short the Russell right here at 14.1. Okay. Let me slide that like that. I like the crude better right here because it's got more momentum. Sell stop on Frank's got a sell stop. Would I consider a down close on the copper entry? If you get a down close below the trend line, okay. The high is 840, the low is going to be 820. That'll be right at the trend line. It'd be the bar below that, probably. Okay, the bar below that one probably would be the spot. All right. Let's see. Looking around at the different markets. Where do we stand now? We are -8 on beans, -2 on gold, +9 on crude, +6 on the Russell. That's where we stand currently. Right. What time is it? 11:22. Where does that put us on the day? We're up, but we're not there yet. We're a yellow day right now. We need to make that green. We need just a few more ticks here. Hopefully something's going to move. Something will break and give us an opportunity here in the next couple of minutes. Alright. These soybeans. I'm so disappointed in the soybeans today. Not really, Pete. It's, it's not really cost effective. If I were to trade the NQ, every setup that came along in the NQ, I'd be focused on the NQ all day because it jumps around so much. Today the indexes have kept us out of a lot of trades today. We haven't been able to do anything with the indexes up until just recently on that Russell trade. I've got one Russell trade for +6 ticks. Actually, yeah. One Russell trade at +6 ticks. And that's it. See? Ding, ding. There's my +6 on the Russell. That's all we got. Yeah, HG down close. Actually, yeah, that down close right there on the copper is a short trade on the copper. Okay, it's below the trend line. That trend line is still good, so it's below the trend line. So yeah, that's a valid trade there on the copper. I got a headache. Yeah, the beans are just a sad little state today. I don't know why. Is there? I don't think there's any grain reports coming out or anything like that. I don't think. But let's see. We are waiting. Okay, so we have the Russell, crude oil, where's gold? Uh-oh, I lost my gold chart. Hang on a sec, I gotta find my gold chart. GGC, GCL, here it is. There's my gold chart. Alright, so we didn't have anything there. There was a long trade right in here, I think. We wanted to see a higher swing. Gold's pretty choppy right here too. I have my crude chart in the wrong spot. It's in my gold spot. And sliding gold off to the side. Yeah. Crude looks like it's about ready to drop down. The Russell looks like it's about ready to drop too. You know, there was a shorting opportunity on the Russell back here a few minutes ago. Right here. Okay, and that looks like it's ready to go down. It's closed down below the MA1. It's down below the black line, below the MA1. And we have some divergence here, so the green line should work its way down into the cycle right there. Okay, on the Russell. And on the NQ, it didn't put in a higher swing, but the NQ is pulling back down to the BBC. The ES has got, well, not much happening. The copper's actually got a short trade setting up right here. Crude oil needs to put in a lower swing right now. Okay, the crude needs to put in a lower swing right here because the green line got down into the cycle. Alright, so we need to see a lower swing here on the crude. And that's it. Over here on the euro, dropped through the BBC, so that's starting to set up a possible short trade. And that's it. That's all we got at the moment. Yeah, it's very, very weird today, Pete. I mean, I only have I have 6 trades today.
You know, last night somebody had pointed out to me on, they sent me a tweet that soybeans traded, they said 2 to 3 times their normal volume yesterday.
Yeah, Pete had mentioned that.
Oh, is that you, Pete? You're the one that sent me the tweet? At Tide 8177 or something? Yeah, 91,000 contracts. That represents, one contract is how many bushels?
5,000.
Is it 5? Those of you that didn't grow up down south, we would go to the market or out to the farms and we would buy a bushel of butter beans or a bushel of black-eyed peas. And I know how much a bushel is, and we would all sit around in the living room with these little basins in our lap, shucking butter beans, or no, you shuck peas and you shell butter beans. Right, that's how you do it. And that's what us country folk did. We didn't have no Nintendos. We just sat around in a circle there. It's a little basin on our lap, shucking and shelling, and just shooting the breeze, gossiping about, well, us kids, kids weren't supposed to speak unless spoken to. So we just sat there and shelled and shucked and listened to the older folks gossip about this one down the street and that one at church and all that kind of stuff. So there you know, another glimpse into the life of the man that is Dwayne.
That's right, another opening. A glimpse into the life of Dwayne.
No other soybean trader will share those kinds of intimate details about their life with you. You just remember that.
Shucking and shelling. And not speaking unless spoken to. Can you imagine that today?
I do imagine it. In fact, I tell my kids about it all the time. They just laugh.
Yeah, I'm sure they do. What? What about freedom of speech?
You mess with me, I'll call CPS. Oh,
Yeah.
Really? Maybe I won't pay the phone bill. How about that? Then who you gonna call?
Well, then I'll rent to the neighbor's house. Yeah, there's no win in that argument.
No, there isn't.
All right, crude's got a short trade right here. Crude's got a short, and let's see. The Russell put in a lower swing. Crude's pushing down right here. It's gone 4 ticks profit. We want to see the crude move down through this level right here. We want to see the green line get down into the cycle. Okay, the Russell's put in a lower swing. The copper's moving too. Okay, so the copper short was a while ago back here. The copper short was. Okay. And the crude, we want to see that push down right here. Okay, you want to see the green line get down into the cycle there on the crude. Okay, I'm going to slide the crude off. And the copper right now is moving down. That thing's been going forever. Okay. That's the copper trade right there. You know what? I'm gonna take 3 ticks on the copper here if I can. And exit the trade. The crude oil is running down right now, guys. Stop should be a break even on that. Okay, the green line got down into the cycle. I'm flat the copper with the 3 ticks. I'm at break even in the crude, plus a couple ticks in the crude. Alright, plus 4 ticks in the crude. 47 is where I'm in. Plus 5 ticks in the crude. 7 ticks, 10 ticks. I'm flat. At plus 10 ticks in the crude. Okay. Copper, we have 3. And I still have my stop on that one. Alright. So the crude went back down to that neckline. What a mess. Alright, so the crude was over here. And it's down to here. And the copper was this down close to right here. Alright, there's the copper. The crude's got another short trade right here, guys. It's going into that neckline again. Oh man, I didn't even realize what time it is. It is 11:34. We're going to have to wrap this up. And the down close right there on the crude is another short trade, okay, for what it's worth. I'm going to stop right here. Gold just tanked too? Yeah, gold just tanked too. Look for a pullback on the gold for an opportunity. The copper, yeah, the copper should probably get down to the swing low over here. It's taken forever though. But when the green line works its way down into the cycle over here, that's what you're looking for, okay. Over here on the NQ, we did get the up close above that trend line and it did move up. On the ES, it's moving up. On the Russell, I got nothing on the Russell right here. Okay. On the Russell, we're still sitting at plus 6 ticks. Okay. Gold is really tanking right here. It just dropped another 10 ticks or so. It is set to pull back right here. So you would look for a down close below this trend line right here on the gold. Okay, down close below the trend line on the gold is what you would look for. Uh-oh. Oh man, I didn't write any of that down. Okay, let's just say it took 120 minutes. And 2, 4, 6, 7 trades. All right. All right, guys. I got to show you how to get into the next session. We accidentally ran into, we ran too far in. This was a tough trading day. I want to show you guys how to get into the next session. Okay. We ended the day plus 167.5. It took us all day to get there. I want to show you guys something here on the crude oil and something on the gold. Now, when we started out this morning, we missed on crude. Right here, we missed this nice trade and this nice trade. Right there. It was tough to miss those. Then we got a break even, and then we started setting up that head and shoulders pattern, and we got another break even. That was this morning. And then crude started trending down, but for some reason we didn't have the opportunities that we would normally want to get on this trend down here. Okay. I had said once we broke this neckline that we should, there's a lot of air down below it. We should see it get down to this level right down here, 105.03. It did get all the way down here, okay, to 105.06, pretty close to 105.03, but not there. And then it turned around on the crude inventories. It turned around and started to move up and jumped all over the place for a little while. And now it's trended all the way back down here. Okay, this is the neckline again. All right, good, Frank. See what I mean? You guys should be doing better than me because you're not missing all these trades that I'm missing. All right, I'm going to slide the crude off. I wanted to show you that stuff on the crude in the pre-market. And gold had something else that set up pretty nicely. Let's see, the first one right here, gold at 832. As that moved down, we took a break even on this trade, or did we take? No, we took one tick profit on that trade, a break even on that trade. I think we took a break even on that trade, and we took 5 ticks profit on that trade. I think this morning we ended up plus 6. Then we started the count over again in here. Okay. It was not an easy trading day by any means, but we persevered. This down close right here. Because this one didn't hit the BBC. Right there, that did not hit the BBC. That one earlier, Paul, that you were talking about, Paul E., that you were talking about, it was a white bar, I believe. You see, right there. That's it right there. It didn't hit the BBC. I mean, I ended up taking a stop out on it anyway. You know, if you got short right there on the down close with the red cycle and all that, you got stopped out, and then you wouldn't have gotten stopped out on the second one because it didn't continue the trend. So it worked out the same anyway. But this one didn't hit the BBC. That's why I didn't take that trade right there. All right, I was looking for the down close below the trend line, which happened right over here. Okay.
Hey, I know we're rushing out of here, but did we see what the S&P did here?
Well, let's just take a look. Let's blow this thing up.
Took the deeper retracement that we talked about.
Yep.
It's almost on the verge of putting in the bullish cross. Okay. Price peaked at 48. We then got a bearish cross, and then price wound its way down to 42. That's a 6-point move. And then I said, you know, based on just what's ordinary, it'll find some support here. It'll go for at least a deeper retracement. It's pulled all the way back up now to 45.75. We're in the process of putting in a bullish cross. This is all on the 4-tick range. So we had a 6-point move up, a 6-point move down, and now what? Will this be a 6-point move back up? I don't know. Stop asking me those kinds of questions. I'm just kidding. It is important that you. It is important that you grab a hold of this. Okay. Oh, so in other words, the S&P is always going to. Now that's how some people are going to translate this, and it'll be written in books and quoted in movies years from now. But Wayne said the S&P always moves 6 points. No, he didn't. He said the average swing is 3 to 5. We've had additional volatility of late, and that this morning there was a 6-point swing up and then a 6-point swing down. That's what he actually said. So be sure to watch the documentary version where they actually tell it like it was.
Tell it like it is.
Not the dramatized movie Hollywood version, you know. And I'm concerned that Tom Cruise is getting a little too old to play me in the story of my life, so I don't know what we're going to do about that. He never was quite tall enough anyway, so.
No, he's not quite tall enough.
But we had worked our way through that with some orthopedic shoes, so.
It's funny, the latest movie that he's in, you know, the one where he plays Reacher. If you've ever read any of those books, he's the total opposite of what Reacher is. You know, Reacher's like 6'4", 240 pounds. Tom Cruise is like a foot.
I've never read any of those books.
A foot shorter. And yeah. And
Reacher, is he like a private detective or secret agent?
He's a retired Marine officer. Or is it Army? Army officer, I think. Retired SP is what he is. And sort of like the forced retirement type. And he doesn't live anywhere, he just kind of roams around, wanders on the streets, and solves crimes.
I have an uncle, Uncle Bill, who was a member of the Phoenix Police Department for many years, and just shy of his official retirement. He was asked to leave the force for, how do they put that, excessive violence towards suspects or something? I don't know. He was the guy that would take him in a room and, you know, slam him with the phone book or whatever. Anyway, it's always such a kick when we go to these family dinners. And this is my wife's family, of course. But we go to the family events, the reunions where there's 100 people, and here comes Uncle Bill. He's such a character. Oh, he really is, man. I can just see him in uniform, and then as he was, you know, in plain clothes, and he is the guy I would not want coming to ask me questions. You know what I'm saying? He's just got that look about him. That kind of rounded nose that's probably been broken a couple times or something. And, yeah, tough-looking guy, man. Tough guy.
Yeah. Maybe he's
great guy to just sit at the family reunion and hang out with, you know, and listen to him tell stories about back in the day. But if you're a bad guy, not the guy, you know, you wanted chasing you when he was in his prime. So, hey, it's almost 1:45. I got to get ready for this next show.
All right, you got to get ready. You got to shut this one down.
Are there any other tall tales you want to tell?
Not at the moment. Lee Child is the author, I think. Frank is the author of those books.
Okay, so you're like Vamoose. You're not even going to be there for the next episode.
I'm gonna listen to the recording right now and see how it is. And if it's okay, then I won't be, and I'll send you some information about it. But
yeah, shoot me a link so I can play it.
Yeah, but if it's not, you know, if it doesn't seem good enough, then I'll pop in.
I got you.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Bye.
All right, buddy. We'll see. I wanted to go over the spreadsheet right here, guys. We were -8 on beans. We were +6 on the Russell. We were +19 on crude. We were -2 on gold. We were +3 on copper. We currently, on the month, are up $1,705 per contract. Steve, are you still in here right now? You would ask me last night what that meant. I'm just scrolling down to see if you're still here. Well, it says you're still here. When I say 1705 per contract, what that means is every trade we put on with one contract. So last month we had 5220. That was with one contract on every single trade. We didn't put on any more than one contract on any single trade. Up here was 6292 and a half. That was all with one contract. Okay, so when you guys look at these numbers, this is one contract for all the trades that I do in the live trading room. I say this often. You guys should be doing better than I'm doing. Once you get it down, you guys should be doing better than I'm doing, because I miss a ton of trades. I really do. I miss a lot of trades, and I do my best to get as many as I can. I don't manage them all exactly right. Yesterday I made 2 mistakes that it took me a while to get to correct those mistakes. But I think maybe it was yesterday. It might have been the day before. But you guys should focus on a couple of markets, and you should be doing better than I do. All right. That said, I'm going to wrap up the morning session, and we'll catch you at the top of the hour. Okay. I didn't go through how to get into the next session, so let me do that really quick. Go to any page on CFRN.net in the right-hand column where it says click here. If you click there, look, you can see my daughter's been here. Click there, and on the next page that shows up eventually right down here, right here I think. Dun, 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 dun. There it is, where it says watch live now. Click on that. Fill out this little form. Okay, once you fill out this form, you'll be sent a link to get into the next session prior to the next session every business day for the rest of the month of July. Okay, you can opt out of that if you want to, but if you want to get into the next session, you got to fill out this little form. With that, I'm going to give you the link to get into that. All right, there's the link, and I'll put it over here. And I am also going to give you my phone number. My phone number is 1-949-423-6464. That's 949-423-6464. If anybody has any questions, give me a call, and I will get back to you. Anybody that was on the free trial yesterday, you should have a link in your email. You should have an email in your inbox telling you what it takes to become a partner if you want to become a partner. Okay. So in the partners session this morning, we were +6 on gold. And then when we start up at 9:30 to 11:30, we're -8 on beans, we're -2 on gold, we're +19 on crude, +6 on the Russell, and +3 on copper. Okay. As I close out the morning session right here, we have a long trade setting up on gold. We have nothing on the Russell. We have nothing on the ES. The ES I would say is a long trade, but the Russell's back inside the zone. So we got nothing. The copper turned around. The euro is about to set up a short trade if it pulls back a little bit. Soybeans I don't see. I think I minimized the soybeans because I was so frustrated with them. Here they are. The soybeans are finally moving up above that trend line that I had drawn in, but we still don't have a trade over there. Okay, we did finally get that close up above that level I was looking for, right there, but we still don't have a trade. Okay, if anybody has any questions or anybody needs anything, you can email me at support@cfrn.net. You can call me at the number I just sent, 949-423-6464, or that's it. All right. That's it, guys. Wrapping up. We'll catch you at the top.